Hi, welcome to the Shaman and the Mermaid, and this is your astrology report from October 28th through November 27th, reporting to you from Naxos, Greece, this lovely island that we're on at the culmination of our 300-hour teacher training as a little respite in between. We find the island pretty magical, and we've been enjoying the life here, and it's inspired our mantra that we've come up for you for this time. And what is our mantra?
True love flows from a true heart. And there's lots of reasons why we've picked this. There's some astrological aspects that align with that. But also, we've been just surrounded by a lot of authenticity this last month that we've been away from sweet Denver. And there's been small town living in both the islands that we've come to. And that small town, simple, authentic lifestyle has really had an impact on our consciousness. You know, the sensory input from the surroundings of just simple life and true living, not fabricated or plastic or superficial. It seems that this has a really powerful effect on people's attitudes and their sense of friendliness and contentment that we've encountered. And so it's really, duh, right? We know this. We know that being authentic is the best way to be, but we've been witnessing it in the day-to-day life for the last month, and including this island, which is a little bit more touristy, but it still holds on to those old-fashioned ideas. And I'd like to see that maybe these old-fashioned ideas become the new fashion and bring this back. So true hearts, this has been what would dub as true heart people, and there's just true love flowing from them. So we feel like this is a good message at this time. And then with the astrology, as I said, aligning the way it is, it seems like that is advocating this theme all the way through. So we'll break that down a little bit. And the report starts on a partial lunar eclipse, and Michael can explain that one to you.
That's October 28th, and those of you in the United States will be able to see it around 2 a.m. in the morning, Denver time. And this eclipse is happening on the north node of the moon. It's called a cross sign eclipse. The new north node, which switched a few months ago, is now in the sign of Aries, but it's at the very end degrees of Aries, and so the moon is just on the other side in Taurus. And so it's kind of bringing both energies into the eclipse. And North Node is where we want to take our soul, where we're going, the path that's unfolding, the revealing of the heart as we go. So if we go back into the old energy of Taurus, there's something about our heart values that we're being asked to revisit again in a new way. Are we holding true to what we hold in the heart? Are we sticking to our values, our spiritual values or our soul values? And then it's also calling in that Aries energy a little bit, and how do we go forward into the world and be that energy? It's opposite of the sun in Scorpio, and the Scorpio sun illuminates our vulnerability, how we want to show up emotionally, how we're exchanging energy with others. And the sun, which is in Scorpio, is there with Mercury and Mars, which is the communicator and the doer. And did you want to say something about our eclipse energy?
Well, it's just so close to Hallows Eve and Dia de los Muertos and All Souls, All Saints Day. And as a time where we honor those who have come before us and celebrate their lives in remembrance, it's also an opportunity to let something of our own old self that's not authentic, not true-hearted, die away. These cause knots in our hearts, and in Sanskrit the word for that is granthis. And these granthis are kind of like, I think sometimes at Halloween, some of the spookiest costumes are not so much the external costumes that people wear, but the internal costume that people wear when they're not their true, authentic self, and they're putting on a mask all the time, every day, not just Halloween. And so maybe this is a time to let go of the mask and that I'm fine attitude that we so easily don, and let this become a death to let that die away and step into our authentic self.
And as we spiral through that portal of All Hallows Eve, Samhain, on the other side of it we have Saturn going direct. Saturn's been retrograde since the beginning of spring, and it's going direct in the sign of Pisces, the watery, emotional, spiritual, imaginative, Neptunian world behind us. And what do you have on the retrograde returning to directive?
Well, like we said in the past when we were talking about it being retrograde, it was a time for reflection of some of our karmas or samskaras, the patterns and habits we have that cause those knots in the heart. And now as it's going direct, particularly in the sign of spirituality and imagination and, you know, kind of that higher self sign, it's a chance for us to start moving forward into our true authentic nature. And we say this, you know, it seems like a no-brainer that, yeah, of course we should be our true self. But I don't think it always is as prevalent as we'd like it to be. When we look around in the world, there's a lot of false faces and false hearts because there's a lot of fear around being our true self. We fear rejection, we fear abandonment, we fear we're not good enough to be the true self. And I think it's time for that to go. And part of that Saturn direct is standing in your power, holding your staff strong, being who you are and not caring what other people think, and trusting that spiritual energy that is different for everybody, and everyone's got a different path, but your higher power, your higher self can hold you in your truth and not waver from being that real person that you have inside you, and drop all the facade. I feel that's the big message of Saturn direct in Pisces, is let yourself be you, and powerfully so. It's not only important for us to each do this, but it's necessary for each of us to do this. There's, you know, if you put a puzzle together and there's a missing piece to the puzzle, it's so frustrating. We all have a gift to contribute in this life, and so we all have to show up with our piece of the puzzle and place it into the big picture so that we can have the full life for everybody. So showing up is Saturn direct as well.
On November 8th and 9th, after that Saturn direct, we have two planets changing signs, which is always a new shift of energy. Venus goes into Libra, her home sign, one of her home signs, and Mercury goes into the sign of Sagittarius. And whenever there's a sign change, there's palpable changes in the energy, mentally, emotionally, psychically, and even the weather we feel changes based on these psychic fields or these energetic fields of vibration. Venus going into her home sign of Libra is illuminating our relationships all across the board, how we relate to spirit, how we relate to our soul, how we relate to our bodies and earth and our families and other people. In our 300-hour teacher training, one of the essential focuses was that we know our deep causal body, soul self, by the nature of our relationships.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like a big part of this Scorpion time, the sun is in Scorpio until it moves to Sag on November 22nd. So we're steeped this month in Scorpio energy, and I feel that one of the big things it's looking for is dissolving or letting the death of old relationships go. Like, let them go. Sometimes we ruminate and hang out in past energies of old relationships too long. I wish I could have, or I would have done something better, or maybe they'll come back, or maybe they'll give me another chance, or maybe I'll try again. And let it go, let it be done, let it have the death of its life now, and svaha, so that new energy can arise out of this. And I think, as Michael said, those two planets of Venus and Mercury moving into Libra and Sag have a lot to do with the true love flows from a true heart. Mercury in Sag is speaking truth from the heart. That's like 100% true heart. The flip of it, and like that's its positive side, the flip of it is just lying, not speaking the truth in your heart. And then Libra or Venus in Libra, her home sign, as Michael said, Venus is love, Libra is relationships. Let yourself be in love with yourself. Let yourself have relationship with you. Let yourself find love that is its truest reflection of what it is you deserve in life, and let go of the ones that aren't serving. Sometimes you already have that love. This is a great time to let it really bloom and blossom in its highest form. And sometimes we're hanging on to relationships that we are trying to force into something and they're not meant to be. So then it's to let go. But that Libra energy, Venus and Libra, is really aligning to help us figure that all out.
And it aligns with that eclipse node at the Taurus Aries
Right.
point. Our next moon energy is November 13th, which is the new moon, the new cycle, and that's in Scorpio. It's reiterating that Scorpio energy with the Halloween, All Hallows Eve, the death, and so this is really going deep, deep in. Scorpio represents the heart of the death season, where we are letting go of things, shedding things, old relationships, old desires, old patterns that aren't serving us, and samskaras. And so this new moon can be a time to reflect and go in on that, continuing from the beginning of the cycle with the full moon and the partial lunar eclipse. Do you have anything to say about our Scorpio new moon?
Just remember, it's a great time for ceremony. Like, light a candle, sit down, get into your heart place. What are the things, as Michael said, that you want to let go of, that don't serve, that are the knots in your heart, and release them, svaha, and then let that new moon cycle begin that is going to take us into the Sagittarian energy of the sun and on around into our Gemini full moon eventually.
Our sun moves into Sagittarius on November 22nd, and then the next day Mars follows into Sagittarius. So we come to the end of our report with that Sagittarius energy in the field. On the positive or harmonic side, it's being truthful, it's seeking a vision, it's having a belief and a trust and faith in things, and it's going into deeper teachings. It's being willing to travel and venture into the heart, and also maybe travel and venture out into the world and meet others, and be true hearts and find true love out there in everything.
Yes. All right, so until we come back to you on that Gemini full moon on November 27th, enjoy this last little bits of fall and stay warm out there. And I think snow is coming to Denver town. And we'll see you on the flip side.
Namaste.